to the Rivalry with Joe, Stevens, and Ryan. We're discussing, will the 49ers... Oh, man, I just bombed it. Will this be the end of the 49ers as we know it? I just totally bombed the intro.
Yeah.
We'll just have to nix that. So, Joe, what's up, man?
Not much. Just, enjoying this beautiful off season. Got to watch my least favorite team lose the Super Bowl. Pretty exciting, personally. Happy I didn't do a show with you last week because I feel like it's a lot easier to say that now to somebody. I don't like kicking people while they're down. So I feel like you guys are kind of rejuvenated a little bit, and I can say that.
Well, who knows? Only time will tell. We've got our problems. We've got Brandon Aiyuk, who is upset. I'm pretty sure it's because of how he wasn't used in the Super Bowl. We've fired our defensive coordinator. And we've lost some coaches. And yeah, we're staring down the barrel of a gun here. What's up?
I meant to ask you about that. That was one thing I really wanted to ask you. Why did they fire the defensive coordinator?
Well, it's the NFL, and you never really get a straight up answer to this. And especially with the 49ers, they really don't want to speak ill of somebody. They would rather just move on and, say it just wasn't working out.
Mm-hmm.
In the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, there was a timeout taken by Kyle Shanahan when I guess supposedly some people say it was a zero blitz, but they had 5 guys just standing around back behind the line to gain. So the first down marker.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Kyle doesn't like when defensive coordinators call timeouts. But Kyle obviously was so frustrated in that situation, only being up by 3 points and that defensive call, that Kyle was willing to call a timeout to get a defense out there that he wanted. So if there was times where Kyle wasn't feeling his call during the season, and I'm guessing that he wasn't calling timeouts then because it really didn't matter. And he's like, well, screw it. We'll let him do his thing. But then the Super Bowl comes around and he goes, nope. There was also, you remember when Steve Wilkes came down from the booth?
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I noticed from that time was after Steve Wilkes came down from the booth, it seemed to me that every defensive player that was asked about it, except for Fred Warner, when they were asked, oh, how is it having Steve Wilkes down on the sideline? To me, it seemed like most of them were said, oh, it's great, and tried to move on real quick. Like they don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But not in like a scared way. They just kind of, oh yeah, it was great. Like there's nothing there. But then when it got to Fred Warner and they asked him that question, it seemed like he had a sense of pride among him that came across him. And it seemed like he had got what he had wanted when he said, yes, it was very good having him down there doing this and that. And it seemed like He wanted somebody to hold somebody accountable or people accountable on the sidelines, maybe, also have some guidance. But it seemed to me like he was the one that made that call. Like he went to Kyle and said, this is what needs to happen. And Kyle went to Steve Wilkes and said, this is what needs to happen. All pro Fred, the guy who could probably run this, I could probably just let Fred call these plays, bro. You know what I mean? Like I could probably let Fred do this stuff. But right now he needs to concentrate on other stuff, right? So I think there's that. I think that kind of was the start to the end. I think there's definitely some calls in there. You've how much of a talented defensive line do you have, and the production that they get? Like we should have had more sacks this year. And I'm not saying that sacks are everything, but you think we would have a little bit more. I understand Bosa is, a big drawing point, and they were trying to crack him, and they're giving whoever was trying to block him, giving him help all year long. But still,
yeah,
there should be something there. It wasn't working. And right now, supposedly, from what it sounds like to me, it sounds like there's a gentleman inside the building. His name is escaping me, but to me, it seems like he's probably got the best shot. He's been talked about over the years here and there. I can't remember his name. I think it's Eric something. I might be wrong. I just heard a run down a whole bunch of people's names, and it got lost in there.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley. They're talking about Brandon Staley, the old Chargers head coach, which I'm cool with. I don't want that. Who else? If people are talking about Bill Belichick, I don't think Bill Belichick is going to go from being a head coach of the how many ever times Super Bowl winning New England Patriots to losing his job, not getting another head coaching job, to then just being, all right, I won't take a year off and figure things out. I'm just going to go be a defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen.
Not only that, the general manager for the Patriots too, he called all the shots. So I couldn't see him.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with Belichick, and not just a coordinator position, but as a head coach. I think he has problems answering to anybody when he's been in charge for that long. So, I mean, he sure draws up great defenses, but
how does the Belichick way fit in with the Kyle Shanahan way?
Yeah, exactly.
They are from the exact opposites of the coaching perspective spectrum. I would say, not as far as Belichick is do your job. Kyle Shanahan is, we need you to do your job, and this is how you do it. And I'm going to tell you why it's important that you do it correctly. And I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to explain the ins and outs to the point where you want to do it correct because it's cool. It's cool after that. Once he teaches you exactly how to do it and how you can be a superstar if you do it right, you're just like, yeah, I just want to do that every time. You know what I mean? Instead of, Daddy doesn't love me, I just want to show Daddy I can do something good so he'll appreciate me. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like children of alcoholics. They get real defensive over their parents, and all they want to do is like get their love and attention when their parents don't like care about anything except for the bottle.
Pretty dark.
Well, I think look at how Julian Edelman talks about him. You know what I mean? Like they all talk about him like, oh, he's a great guy, but he treated them all like shit for the most part. The only reason why they really like him is because they liked winning, and they understand, he's an asshole, and they dealt with it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's almost like that's the only thing close to it. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. I guess that's another close way to describe it. When you're held captive for so long that you start seeing your captor's views is good. Like, yeah, you should be holding me captive. They're screwing us over. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I just think going back to the coaching firing, I kind of felt like it was kind of a scapegoat thing, honestly, for the fans. Like from an outside looking in. Like the defense, I get, yeah, the pressure thing, but they're third in the NFL. Um, as far as the Super Bowl goes, just narrowing it down to that game, the defense really held their own compared to the offense. It seemed like the second half, it seemed like Shanahan forgot to just keep feeding McCaffrey, and I put that loss as much on Shanahan as Wilkes. Don't you?
So you would like to say, oh, we got Bebop Jones in the house.
What's up, Bebop?
What up, Bebop? I am not one to shy from putting fault on Kyle Shanahan, but if you look, giving Christian McCaffrey the ball when they've got like 4 or 5 guys on the line of scrimmage each down is not necessarily the best thing, especially if you're not guaranteeing, if you can't like average 4 yards. If you can average 4 yards when they got 6 guys on the 5, 6 guys on the line, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. It's going to make the play action so much nastier. But if you look, they're doing nothing in the second half but man coverage on us. And they're throwing, and Kyle's dialing up plays for Debo. Well, Debo's not very good in man. He's not, you can't consistently get open to the point where you're like, oh yeah, let's target Debo in this. That's a Brandon Aiyuk thing. And that's why Brandon Aiyuk, I think, is pissed. So I don't think it's just the running game. And I don't think it's necessarily just the defense. Everybody on that team, George Kittle is saying hi to a defensive player as the ball is getting stripped from Christian McCaffrey on that first drive. Pretty sure it was the first drive.
Oh, that would piss me off.
And he's, everybody on that team, I think, except for probably Witch Mitznowski, the punter, has got, well, really, he had some great punts in that game. And the punt return, or the punt coverage team, they did. When I just say the punter, I'm sorry, I mean everybody on the punt coverage team, because they are a single unit. It doesn't matter if you can kick that ball 80 yards down the field if they can return it 70. You know what I mean? So, those are the only people that did any good. Everybody else, not to say that they didn't do good, but there was mistakes made, and if they didn't make those mistakes, it could have changed the outcome of the game. Like everybody.
Jennings was pretty good.
Jennings, yeah. And his number wasn't called very much.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
Well, we talked about that before the Super Bowl. Like, he just shows up. He shows up in those plays where you're like, the fuck did that guy come from?
Kyle was trying to force it to Debo. And look, I'm all for spreading the ball around, getting this and going, but sometimes the best way to get everyone open is to find the one guy who's always open and feed the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they've got to look that direction and everybody else starts to get open. And then you can start picking and attacking as you will. So Kyle Shanahan has blame, but also I don't think firing Steve Wilkes was a decision made fully at the Super Bowl. I think it was already starting to be made before the Super Bowl. And I think after the Super Bowl, I think he was fired kind of quickly so he could get a job somewhere.
Or so the 49ers could find somebody fucking quick, before the combine's coming up. Fuck, I kind of forget what day it is, but it's soon. Let me look it up.
It's the 26th through the 29th, I think.
Yeah, we're 5 days away
So,
from the NFL
yes,
combine.
but at the same time, hey, Joe, all the defensive coordinator positions were already filled.
Yeah.
So what does it matter when we it's not like we're competing with anybody.
Yeah, no, I get that too. I totally understand that. We kind of
And
had a situation.
that's why I think it's in-house.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense too if a guy that was under D'Amico Ryans, especially. I don't know how many guys are left on that defensive staff, but if they just didn't think he was ready yet last season and needed another year to groom and then take over as a coordinator now, that would make sense too. Not even like as a slap in the face to
That's
Steve
why I
Wilkes.
think it was that's why I think it was you come in here and run our show, you keep the whole staff. Because we got a group together, and when you go get a job somewhere else, there's a guy already here that we want to take the reins. He's just not seasoned enough yet. You know what I mean? He hasn't been able to step too much far outside of what he's already working on. I think he's the secondary coach, if I'm pretty sure. He might be the linebacker coach. It's one or the other.
But
There's a
yeah, what
couple
if
of
it's not even?
position
What
coaches.
if it's not even? I mean, just obviously we all look at the headlines and see 49ers fire Steve Wilkes, but what if it's not only the fact that, like, okay, we don't agree with some of the shit he was doing, but we want to promote this one guy. I don't know any of their names, to be honest. I'm just saying theoretically, we want to promote this one guy. We think he's going to be an amazing defensive coordinator and be the head coach of this defense. Um, and not so much as a fuck Steve Wilkes, but more as a let's get this guy up. And it's not like you're going to move Steve Wilkes down. So,
Well, yes, but you can tell the guy, hey, you just go another year and the job's yours.
yeah.
They were doing that with Adam Peters, the general manager, until he got a chance to go be a GM over there with his buddy.
Yeah, where did he go again?
He went to the Commanders.
Oh, the commies. Nice.
Yep, who also took one of our other coaches. Was it a Kubiak? I think he took our Kubiak, or one of our Kubiaks.
One of our Kubiaks.
Run game or pass game. Well, we kind of got some nepotism type stuff. We get a lot of Amin the Dream in the house. What up, Amin the Dream?
What's going on?
Jeff Albright, younger Bay native, former 49er. He's a younger DC who can bring the same energy as Wilkes and D'Amico. Oh, is that one of the other guys? Yeah, I think it's somebody internally, but I'm not totally sure. Shout out to Amin.
Amin's the man.
Amin handles the business.
But
you know Amin the Dream.
Yeah, we've crossed paths once or twice.
All right.
What
It's the homie.
What else is going on in your guys' land? The Aiyuk deal. So that was the one that I found kind of bizarre. That was the one I found bizarre just because I haven't seen him talk much like that. I don't know. Obviously, I'm an outsider, so it's not like I'm really looking with a microscope at you guys. But I didn't expect his brother and his wife and shit to be like, oh, this is the last time we're playing in San Francisco or for the 49ers. So,
well, so this kind of gives me feelings of like what happened when Debo's contract was ready to be negotiated. Also, at the same time, they just lost a very emotional game.
Yeah.
And I can't put anything past them on what they were feeling right then. Then what they came out, I can't really hold them accountable for that at that moment. Now, if they come out tomorrow and say the same thing, essentially, or make another statement supporting that same statement, that's something different. I'll definitely. It doesn't seem like anybody's talking like that right now. You know what I mean? Like, look, James Durnall. You know James Durnall from the chat.
Yeah.
He was watching the game with me, and he couldn't figure out where he put his cheese fountain. You should see he had a great little setup. He had a cheese fountain where he made his sauce and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the tree. It was
that's
found in the
funny.
tree.
I was watching. You act like I don't watch your shows, all right? Fuck,
What?
I'm supporting you. Don't worry.
I'm sorry. Are you in the Discord too?
No. Well, I am, but I don't post anything.
Oh, bro, you got to get in the Discord. We gotta be talking.
So Aiyuk deal to be seen, obviously. How about that overtime call, which I'm assuming is to receive the ball or not? Now, can I say how I feel about it? Because I think it might surprise some people here. Stop bashing on fucking Kyle Shanahan for taking the ball first. Okay, I can see why some people would be like, oh man, just do it. Just, then you know what you're playing against, right? But here's the deal, okay? The 49ers allowed one touchdown before that overtime drive. They go down, kick a field goal, right? Say they hold the Chiefs to another field goal, next score wins. They can drive down, get in field goal range, and kick a field goal again, right? You're in the driver's seat with that. I hate Kyle Shanahan. I'm defending him on this because I feel like so many people are piling him on that, but I don't think so. I mean, really, if you would have just held KC to a field goal, you could have went down and just kicked another field goal and won the game.
Well, when you're playing KC, you don't want to bank on them walking away with only a field goal. So his mistake is not receiving the ball first, because there's a lot of good things that come from that. Your defense gets off the field and gets a break. It was just on there, right? It just got marched down the field on. You know what I mean? You're going to put them out there? Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's say you go down, you score a touchdown, right? The Chiefs score a touchdown. Guess what? You get the ball back, and next person that scores wins, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There we go. The issue is settling for 3 when you're about to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. I think that's the biggest thing right there. I understand he was in a bad position. It was 3rd and long, and it's not like he was going to get it was more yards obviously to the end zone, but that's what he needed to be looking at. He needed to be thinking that I have to walk away from here with a touchdown and nothing less.
Mm-hmm.
Like, use all your good plays up, man. Who cares if you're going to need something for that last drive? We'll worry about that when we come to it. Make sure you go down and put up this touchdown.
Well, and then another thing that people were saying, I don't know if you saw this afterwards, and I'm going to be honest, after the Super Bowl, I cared, I cared about watching the 49ers lose, but I'm listening to Seattle Sports Talk Radio. I don't want to hear about the fucking Super Bowl. I don't give a shit anymore, I'm listening to, KJR. I don't want to hear about the fucking Super Bowl all day. But the one thing I heard is that Andy Reid said they were going to kick the ball first, score a touchdown, and go for 2. It's not like fucking anybody knew that. I'd have expected if the 49ers would have scored a touchdown first, kicked the extra point, went up 7, and the Chiefs went back and scored, I would have expected them to tie it up and make it a sudden death game. So I don't know.
Well, I think the go for two would have been that would have been their Hail Mary essentially there. So instead of putting the ball back in our hands and
Yeah,
letting us get a
exactly.
chance to go at it again, it would have just been, we're just going to flip a coin right here, which I get that. It's their best chance, I think. I think statistically it's your best chance.
Yeah.
You're putting the ball in your hands in that point and not in somebody else's. You know what I mean? I think you're always have got a better chance when the ball is in your hands.
Yeah.
Because you get to
But
control it. And like, think about this. If Kyle Shanahan was able to figure out on fourth down how to convert and get a first down, right?
mhm.
More time would have been taken off that clock. So if the immediate next play they would have scored a touchdown, there would have been at least like 3 to 4 seconds taken off of the clock, that when they kicked the ball back off, the Chiefs wouldn't have been able to go down there and with 2 seconds left score a touchdown.
Oh,
You know what I'm
they
saying? You
you know
take
what they
any more
said on
time off
that?
the clock.
So I was confused on that too. Um, but they did say overtime in the Super Bowl is basically untimed. So if that clock would have hit triple zeros in overtime, it would have went to overtime too. They weren't even playing against the clock.
Oh, so it's just really 3 possessions. The maximum of 3
Basically,
possessions untimed. Okay.
yeah. I,
Well, then why we got a clock?
exactly. I was thinking, maybe just to keep it uniform, I'm assuming. But I remember hearing
Make people feel good?
right before the Chiefs scored, um, whoever was on the call, Romo or Nance, they don't go, now keep in mind, if the clock hits zeros, the game's not over. And we're going, oh, okay, sweet. So, but yeah,
I mean, the dream dropping some cricket knowledge here,
in cricket.
if it would pop up.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
that
come on.
simple,
In cricket, they
right?
have a coin toss to see who bats first and who bowls and pitches first. Teams 90%, if they win the toss, elect to bowl first so they know what they need to do in order to win. Yeah.
Well, that's where I argue it's not that simple in football. It's not like baseball, where in the ninth inning you'd rather be the home team, right? Because you can end it right there. Um, I feel like it's a lot more complicated and a lot more of a. It's a lot fucking tougher decision, dude. I feel like there's more factors than that.
Well, it's not an umbrella yes or no, black and white answer to any
Mhm.
situation, right? Because depending on how your team's built is how you want to approach something, you know? So if you know you've got a second half team, well, yeah, you want the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
But if you're a first half team, you want the ball in the first half. You want to get out there, you want to score, you want to pin your ears back and go. So
hmm Well, and I mean that's where I kind of disagree with you. Is that a field goal is like work for Mahomes? Like that's the only argument I really had is only fucking scored one all game. I mean, you had 60 minutes to score more than one. I mean, they held him to field goals all game. I don't know. That's kind of my hill I'll die on. I don't know why. I don't disagree with
bro, we've been here before. Same dude, same coach, same quarterback, same tight end. We've been here. We
yeah.
can't we can't we can't have them within a touchdown at the end of the game. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah. So here's a question. I've been wanting to ask you this. Like I said, it's not rubbing salt in the wound. Um, and I don't think I would have asked you this last Wednesday, so I'm kind of happy we didn't do the show. But before the season, I remember asking you guys, and it wasn't just you, it was a few others all at the same time, because it was Super Bowl win or the season was a failure. And I said, what if you make it to the conference championship, lose again? Do you still see the season as a failure, or what do you think? Because it was an awesome season. The number one seed, I mean, took it couldn't get much closer to winning the Super Bowl than actually winning it. I don't think it was a failure, but what is the overwhelming? What do you guys think?
Well, I will only speak for myself. And realistically, no, it wasn't a failure. But when the goal was to win the Super Bowl and you don't, and it's not even just my goal. These players spoke about it many times in all these press conferences. The goal is to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That was the goal. When they were asking McCaffrey about his award that he got, he said, that's great, but I'm more worried about the big thing, the Super Bowl. That's the one award that I want. It was the goal, and they came up short, ever so slightly short. And all of them have something to do with it. They all had a role to play in that loss. So I don't know how they can tell you it wasn't a failure.
Yeah.
So yes, to me, with what was expected by the players themselves, that was a failure.
Yeah.
And I'm not like jumping off the bandwagon. I'm not, all upset, guys. It just as math. Like if that was the goal, you didn't hit it. There's no Super Bowl winner B. You know what I mean? There's no other thing. That's a loss. That's a loss.
Yeah.
You don't get a trophy.
Well, you get the George Hallis
you get
trophy.
A trophy, but for the
you get the NFC Championship trophy. Yeah,
we got those.
It's a tough one. Like I said, from the outside looking in, like I've been saying this whole time, because you feel like your window before they pay Purdy is pretty tight now. I think he has 2 more years.
It's not even the window to pay Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
We got one more year before we got to start making tough decisions.
Yeah.
On who we're keeping. So it's not about that. We'll probably be fine by the time we got to pay Purdy, because we'll have already figured out the plan, because we already had to, cut some of our gut back. The big thing is, and this is something I wanted to bring up, the last time this team went to the Super Bowl and played so far into the offseason, and mind you, we also went to the championship game last year and the year before. So these guys are going deep into the offseason every year. Is last time we went to the Super Bowl, we had the COVID year. We had tremendous injuries. I mean, a lot of them came in on one field, but still, we had tremendous injuries that year. So who knows what things will be like for next year. Like we barely got to the Super Bowl without injuries. Look at how many guys dropped in the Super Bowl. Like Dre Greenlaw, Ted from TED Talks Ball had brought up the fact that he had some tendonitis in his Achilles tendon early on this year. And that was probably just, lingering this whole time. So we barely made it. We lost Feliciano that game. We lost Greenlaw. I think we lost somebody else. But we lost 3 guys that game. We couldn't even get through that game. So how many more guys were just about ready to snap this year and just didn't play another game or enough football for it to happen. Now you got to go rest with less time and then go do another long, grueling season to try and get back there again. That's why
Yeah.
is this the end of the 49ers we know them? This could definitely be a turning point in this franchise. And I don't think
Well,
enough people see that. Um, if you did you listen to Mike McDaniel, not Mike McDaniel, what's his name? MCDC from the Lions, how he was talking to his guys saying it takes a lot of hard work to get here. And
mm-hmm.
you can do all this hard work and still not get back here again. He's totally right. We have been so lucky to get to where we've gotten the last couple years and consistently, and to think that it'll just be destined for us to do it again next year. Like, we thought we were destined to do it this year. We were on pins and needles for half the year because we didn't know what was going to happen, and getting the first seed. So guess what? Next year, we got a new defensive coordinator, probably somebody who hasn't, I'm guessing it's probably going to be somebody who hasn't been one before. And yeah, we're going to, who knows what happens in free agency? We got guys who can leave, and depth pieces. That's that's not good, because one of the things we pride ourselves on is depth. So
Yeah.
we've got
But
some issues that could happen, but have not shown themselves yet.
well, another thing. I've watched my team lose a close Super Bowl, and I've watched a team with a lot of big personalities lose a Super Bowl. Close, a close Super Bowl, right? We didn't get blown out 43-8 like the Broncos and go, oh, fuck, we just suck compared to them. Everybody's going to have opinions. And one of the things I started to see crack already was, I guess, two of the offensive linemen were like fighting on Twitter for the 49ers about whose responsibility Chris Jones was. And I'm trying to find it as we speak, which is probably dumb. I should have had it, but that Grant Cohn tweeted it.
Oh, it's okay. It's probably Aaron Banks and Brendel, which, so how to put this? If they think it was just that one play, and that's what they want to get all up in the players themselves, if they think that it's all about that one play and trying to prove that they were right in that situation, well, they're wrong. And who cares what we think? Your job is to be a unified front,
Mm-hmm.
and to care about the people in that room. So if Grant Cohn goes on and says it's your fault and it's not your fault, who gives a shit? Don't
I
put
thought,
flack on your homeboy.
no, it wasn't even that.
Would
God,
oh, you lying, Joe?
no, I'll have to find it and send it to you. I
Oh,
saw
print
it.
a retraction.
No retraction. Grant Cohn retweeted it.
I just
I can't find
everybody has a hand in that loss. So I don't see why, like, if I'm getting blamed for something I didn't do in the
it. Mm-hmm.
media, I'm going to be okay with that, because everybody else knows that I didn't do it. That matters, right? Like, I don't want you pointing out what I actually did wrong. You know what I'm saying? Well, not me personally. I'm just saying, like, if I was a player and I'm going to be all butthurt about this type of stuff, I'm not going to worry about the plays that you're saying I did something wrong when I didn't.
Okay.
I
Sorry.
just don't want you seeing the ones I actually did something wrong with.
I'm sorry. I found it. Sorry for taking so much of everybody's time. So Jonathan Feliciano tweeted, "A quick chop block is not needed
Yep.
if the guy that was supposed to block him blocks him." Spencer Burford responds, "Sheesh, I open up my app to this. Get well soon, bro."
Okay.
So I guess Grant Collins said Feliciano throwing Burford under the bus to defend McKivitz on Twitter. Yikes.
So Burford, okay, there's probably some animosity between them already. Okay. Burford was our starting guard last year, but then they had to switch up reps with Brunskill because he couldn't handle his load. Then they brought in Feliciano this year, and I'm pretty sure it was to do the Brunskill role of backing up Burford. So, in taking half of his snaps, and that's what happened this year. So, I don't think Burford's the guy. Who knows? This is his second year in the league. He was a rookie. The 49ers thought this other guy was going to start. They talked about how smart he was, this and that. That guy's on the practice squad. Burford actually started. He might figure it out, but he's only starting halftime. And Feliciano's been around the league, and we were better with Feliciano was in. So I think Burford probably should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But, you could say what you want. I actually feel that McKivitz had done a better job all year. I think McKivitz is better than Burford, but he's not a great right tackle. You know what I'm saying? So I think McKivitz probably does better when Feliciano's next to him because Feliciano's more of a vet, and whether he can manhandle somebody, he's smart enough and knows how to use leverage and get, good position where that can help, kind of essentially a rookie right tackle, a fresh starter right tackle out. And I thought he helped him out all year. So this could just be some, you don't deserve to fucking start in my spot, bitch. You know what I'm saying? This could be that what it is. And that could be totally true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just, back to my point, I just start seeing, I'm starting to see kind of the cracks, if that makes sense, like I did with the Seahawks. For your sake, I hope that the cracks don't get as big as the Seahawks did.
That's not a crack. That's so okay. I know what you're trying to say, but it's not like you got a George Kittle and a Fred Warner going at it. This is essentially two backup guys that backup caliber guys that share the same starting role, I guess. Maybe I would just say Feliciano's a starter in this league because we were happy when he was in all year. So he's a starter in this league. So let's just say Feliciano's a starter and Burford is a guy who potentially could be a starter. Let's just label him like that. And you've got Burford as the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's on paper. Burford is the starter. So it's I don't see these are not core 49ers. That's what I'm trying to get to. These are not core 49ers. Burford has been there for 2 years. Feliciano's has been here for 1 year. Nobody is like a diehard Burford fan.
I am.
In fact, I think more people are a Feliciano fan. Shut up. But yeah, I don't think it's nothing burger to me.
How about yeah, but I don't know. Just the fucking Aiyuk deal like you said, with time it should smooth everything out. Just hope it does. Just hope it does. That's just the shit that I see.
The Aiyuk thing, I'm not blowing the Aiyuk thing totally off. Don't get me wrong. It's just the parent, the brother and the sister, those statements I'm not necessarily taking on 100%, because if you saw Brandon Aiyuk's like interview the day afterwards, it's like he wanted to just fucking cry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, he took that hella hard, which I would understand. I would be destroyed too. I don't know if I'd be standing for interviews. I'd be like, fuck you guys, fucking vultures. You know what I mean? Like, I just, guys are just here trying to fucking make money off my misery. Fuck you guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably what you would get out of me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to cover here?
Ooh, is there anything you can think of?
Just a few things with the Seahawks. Obviously,
Anything you can think of?
Yeah, the last time we talked, we didn't have an offensive coordinator. We got the Grubinator. We got the Huskies offensive coordinator back in Seattle. Left Alabama. We have the Huskies offensive line coach from last season, and I think that's kind of a more underrated. I think the Huskies offensive line coach coming to Seattle might be one of the most underrated coaching moves that we've had so far. Just because the Huskies, with a bunch of no names in the offensive line last year, except for our left tackle, won the Joe Morse Award, which is for the most outstanding offensive line in the NCAA. And I don't know. We have a lot of first time coaches on our staff right now. First time head coach, first time offensive coordinator, first time defensive coordinator, first time special teams coordinator. Leslie Frazier as the assistant head coach, I think, is a good investment there, because we have a guy that's been there as a head coach before, and him to kind of guide Mike McDonald where he thinks he's fucking up, and just kind of helping make the transition easier with all these first timers. I don't know. I'm excited. I feel like next week we'll have a lot more time to talk about the Seahawks and their needs, because they got a lot of them.
So this to me sounds like they might have a semi hiccup year.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of just this, you got to pay to play. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna put a bunch of this cast together, you're gonna have some bumps in the road as these guys all figure their things out. But I think if they can stick together as a team and not get at each other's throats over things, you can have a great system that works together, because you've got a first-time head coach that can kind of just feel things out if he wants. So, if things are working here, well, I don't have to get in here and micromanage, right? Okay, so moving on. You know what I mean? Which is kind of nice when you've got a head coach that's set up doing their way, a certain way every single time. That's when people start micromanaging other people, because they want it done a certain way. So with the new head coach trying to figure out other things, he might give people a chance to actually do more and be more inventive, and that might become more of a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. There's the whole Geno thing too. The Geno thing's interesting. So
what's the Geno thing? People are talking about trading and getting rid of, like, used Check and Brandon Aiyuk and Debo and everybody. They're trying to sell everybody right now. That idiot from Chat Sports is.
Well, Schefter put out a report that, the Seahawks are keeping Geno Smith, and he's going to get his $12.7 million roster bonus. But he also added in there that the Seahawks are open to shopping Geno Smith. Let's see. I'm on this ride with everybody else. Let's just see what happens. He's going to have another. I believe March 18th is when the new league year starts. He gets another $7 million. If we keep him, great. If we're able to, people are saying, honestly, somebody said, not, somebody credible, I can't think of it, but they're saying somebody desperate enough might offer a second round pick for Geno Smith. If we can get a second round pick for Geno Smith, I think we take it. And I love Geno.
So, but this is what I would do. I would plan for Geno to be the starter. Like, I wouldn't even really worry about. I would obviously do your due diligence. If somebody's gonna, call you and ask you, obviously do your due diligence. But I wouldn't be worrying about that. I'd be worrying about finding my quarterback in the draft. And then, let him sit behind Geno, right?
For a year.
And then, well, maybe for a year. Let's say 3/4 of the year goes by. Some other team's quarterback goes down, right? They call and ask about Geno. Okay.
The price goes up.
Well, not just that, but is my young guy ready to go now? Okay, let's get him out there. Get him some. He got to sit behind. He's got to see how you plan for each week and blah blah blah. Let's get him out there. Get him some actual gun time. I don't think you necessarily have to sit a year. I think it's good to at least sit a couple of games and kind of get some real games under your belt and see the flow of things. Maybe get in there some garbage time, and I think that really opens you up. And I think as long as you're preparing like the starter every week, which I would be telling my guy to do, he should be all right. If you do your due diligence on scouting your quarterback, right, you should have a guy. So that would be my move, because he's a great bridge quarterback in this situation. We were just talking about, this might be a shitty year, while all your coaching staff's trying to figure things out and kind of get in their new groove as their new positions. So what better than to have a quarterback like Geno there who can kind of take the reins and do some things while your young rookie quarterback is figuring things out. And then maybe next year he gets to take the reins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yeah, let's get this. Let's talk about this next week, because I do want to talk about two specific quarterbacks, and I want to watch the other one a little bit more before I make a final verdict on what I think of him. Two quarterbacks in this draft that have tremendous ties to this coaching staff. So let's try to talk about that next week. I think that'll be a pretty big one. Like we said, the combine will be going on, so we'll see some player that everybody thinks is a third round pick make a few extra $1 million by going in the first round because of their combine performance, like we see every year. So yeah, let's get it. What do you got going on the rest of the week?
Nothing. My homeboy Bashar, he's feeling under the weather this week. Hopefully he gets back at it. I got to check in with him on Friday. But yeah, I've just been making my little sheets, planning for next season. About to start working on some of the PowerPoints and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the sheets are badass. I like them a lot. So you'll definitely catch me using them, especially come about 5 days. I think the sheets are
Get yourself a printer.
Yeah, for sure. Might just have to forward them all. Might just have to send them all to my sister. So
I'm gonna turn it into a document so it's easier to print, so it won't be like it'll just print the black and the gray and won't try and like do anything with like the white area. So
okay.
yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, well, thank you everybody in the chat for joining us today. Thank you, Ryan. I feel like that was a good one. So let's get after it next week. Start talking about some cuts, some additions, fun off season stuff that will get very old by June. By June. So we got a long road ahead of us. So thank you, everybody. And
yes, we do.
Have a good night.